Good afternoon, everyone. And on behalf of Grow Asia, Padang & Co. and our special partner for this event on Indonesia, MDI Ventures, I would like to welcome you to the Grow Asia Directory Showcase Partner event on the state of agri-tech in Indonesia. I realize this event's on a Friday afternoon, so thank you so much for joining, and let's just keep this informal and open, no questions too small. We'll get to our panel discussion later. So just to introduce myself, my name is Wei Li, and I'm the innovation lead at Grow Asia. In case you're not familiar, we're a multi-stakeholder partnership platform catalyzed by the World Economic Forum and the ASEAN Secretariat. We basically work to build action-oriented and market-led partnerships for inclusive and sustainable development in Southeast Asia. Our secretariat is based in Singapore, where I am now, and we have country partnerships in 6 countries across the region, including Indonesia. Our country partnership here is Peace Agro, the Partnership for Indonesia's Sustainable Agriculture. So I lead Grow Asia's digital program, where we've been seeking to catalyze partnerships across the ecosystem, and particularly between startups and corporates. Our perspective has been that the best way for startups to get a foothold in smallholder value chains is to partner with agribusiness corporates. And to that end, with funding from the Inclusive Business Action Network, we set up the Grow Asia Digital Directory in 2019. JQ, next slide. We recognize that digital solutions can't transform the agri sector if investors, agribusinesses, and development actors don't know what solutions are available. And so this online directory, it sought to fill that gap in ASEAN and to provide information on now close to 70 solutions that impact smallholder farm productivity or sustainability, so that interested parties can find each other. So fast forward 2 years later, and a lot has changed in the regional agri-tech ecosystem. We wanted to update the directory and bring in new listees, JQ, next slide, but also to do this in a market-informed way, which is why we brought in our corporate partners, JQ, next slide, Bayer, Cargill, and Jollibee Group Foundation, whose work and value chains are touching the lives of hundreds of millions of smallholder farmers in the region, hundreds of thousands of farmers in the region. Their challenge statements are the driving force for the Grow Asia Directory Showcase, and what I hope will motivate any startups who are here in the room to apply for the pitching opportunity in mid-August. If you're a startup interested in raising your profile in the agri-tech ecosystem in Southeast Asia, please apply for the showcase. JQ, next slide. I won't go through why you should join, but basically it gives you access to the Grow Asia network as well as to the sponsors that I mentioned before as well. So I'd just like to end the introduction by thanking our lead sponsor, ADB Ventures, and our corporate partners, Bayer, Cargill, and Jollibee Group Foundation for their support and commitment to smallholder farmers, and also to MDI Ventures, of course, for co-organizing this event. Next slide, JQ. So I'll just take you through the agenda really quickly for today. We're going to have a sharing from ADB Ventures, then by MDI Ventures, and by Teddy Fund as well. And then we'll have a panel discussion at the end to round off. Next slide, JQ. A few housekeeping announcements. If you have any questions for the speakers or during the panel, go ahead and put them in the Q&A Q&A box rather than the chat. You can use the chat box to introduce yourself if you like. And if you have any technical issues with the platform, please email my colleague Xingquan@padang.co, and we'll be recording the webinar. Next slide, JQ. So without further ado, I just would like to introduce our first speaker, Jason Lusk, the Partnership and Communications Manager at ADB Ventures. Jason manages ADB Ventures communications programs, as well as partnerships with like-minded development programs, innovation accelerators, and corporate ESG teams. Jason brings more than 20 years of experience in strategic communications and business development, and is the founder of Clickable Impact Consulting Group, which works with development agencies across the Asia Pacific to mobilize innovative communication strategies for impact. Over to you, Jason.
Thanks, Wei Li. Let me just quickly share my screen here. There we go. Okay, I think everybody can see my slides now. What I'd like to do is introduce ADB Ventures in case any of you are not familiar with the work that we do. And I'd also like to talk about some of our areas of focus in agriculture as we look at potential agri-tech companies to invest in. So we'll start with the very basics. ADB Ventures is part of the Asian Development Bank. I think many of you are familiar with ADB already. Of course, about a 50-year-old multilateral development bank, headquartered in Manila, but serving a geography that's very wide, covers the entire Asian continent from Armenia all the way to Fiji. ADB was started during a different time, where a time in which Asia had a preponderance of the world's poor. So it was very focused in its first few decades on alleviating poverty and stimulating economic growth across the region. But as we all know, Asia has changed a lot since the mid-1960s. And with that, its development challenges have changed as well. There's still a need to address poverty across the region. There's still a need to build upon the economic success story of Asia over the past several decades. But with that comes a new set of challenges, including making sure that women are achieving a standard of living and a level of opportunity, commensurate with men across the region, and also supporting climate goals, which means reducing the region's contributions to climate change, as well as helping the region adapt and become more resilient to the effects of climate change. One of the things that we observed as our mission began to shift is that our traditional forms of finance needed to be supplemented with new and innovative forms of finance. ADB in the past primarily mobilized loans to governments for infrastructure, for energy, for water, for transportation infrastructure. Beginning in the 1990s, it did more and more lending to the private sector, but that was in the form of very large loans to commercial banks, to private equity. What we realized is that there was a real shortfall of funding, a shortage of funding for innovative technologies from startups that had great potential to scale for impact across the region. And that was a funding shortfall that ADB urgently needed to address. There are a couple of reasons for this funding shortfall. One is market expansion risk. It's just really difficult for startups to expand across our region. What we see in Asia Pacific is that we have Indonesian startups that are focused on scaling within Indonesia. We have Indian startups that are focused on scaling within India, and we have Chinese startups that are primarily scaling within China. But we have relatively little cross-border expansion. That's particularly problematic when it comes to the smaller or more remote markets in our region, which therefore experience little to no innovation. So market expansion risk is one reason why there's a gap that needs to be filled. The other is, frankly, that VCs have historically under prioritized impact generating sectors like agriculture, but also like clean tech and clean energy. Very small percentage of overall venture capital deals are in those areas. However, there is a growing trend towards these kinds of investments, and we hope that ADB Ventures can be part of accelerating that. Our vision is to catalyze $1 billion in private risk capital towards the Sustainable Development Goals over the next 10 years. We have raised about $72 million of our own finance to do that, but we also co-invest with other investors across the region. And our hope is that by doing that, we begin to crowd more VCs into agri-tech investments and other similar types of investing. We're initially focused on climate and gender, as I mentioned earlier. We may expand to our focus to other sustainable development goals in the future, but these are really our North Star that guide all of our investment interests. Because of this tight focus, particularly on climate, we're primarily investing in highly climate relevant sectors. I've mentioned energy. Energy, of course, the relationship between energy and greenhouse gas emissions is quite clear, and I think everybody understands it. Agriculture both generates climate impact and is vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So agriculture is an area of focus, but we are also looking at investments in fintech and health tech. We may end up talking a lot about fintech today because financial technologies that enable smallholder farmers to invest in higher quality farming inputs, for example, are of interest to us. Our focus is primarily on South and Southeast Asia. I mentioned ADB serves a much larger geography than that, including Central Asia and East Asia and the Pacific Islands. But as we're relatively new under the Asian Development Bank, we need to focus somewhere. So we've made South and Southeast Asia our focus. Of course, Indonesia is well within that focus. In agriculture, look, this is not an exhaustive list of the things that interest us and the problems that we're trying to solve, but it's a start. We are, again, very focused on climate. So climate smart farming is important to us. We know that farming, particularly in places like Indonesia, is vulnerable to increasing frequency of natural disasters, to droughts, to flooding. We also know that there's encroaching salinity from ocean water and rising sea levels. All of these are challenges for smallholder farmers in Indonesia that can be partially addressed through technology, whether that's different seed stock or just different models for helping farmers manage climate-related risk. Supply chains and helping farmers connect the dots from the field to the market is very important, reducing the number of intermediaries in the supply chain, improving cold chains so that more of what comes off the field makes it safely to market is an area of interest. And then, of course, sustainable inputs. We have a problem of over-farming across our region and land degradation. That's a big problem in Indonesia and in neighboring countries as well that we're committed to solving. I think it's important to note that Indonesia is a large market. And when we look at Indonesia, we're perfectly willing to and interested in investing in startups in Indonesia that have commercial traction, that are fairly far along, but really don't have ambitions to expand regionally yet, that are entirely focused on the Indonesian market. Because look, you're a very large country with a lot of problems to solve and a lot of opportunities and technological dynamism. But in general, we are also, we tend to prioritize solutions and startups that do have a bigger long-term vision, who understand that the challenges of smallholder farmers in Indonesia are very similar to the challenges of smallholder farmers in Vietnam or Cambodia, and may be interested in replicating their models or joint venturing or otherwise accessing those other markets as well. We do have a few tools to invest in. We have an equity fund. It's a $60 million fund that can invest up to $4 million, but typical check size of $1 to $2 million. We invest seed to Series A, but we're really looking for companies that have a little bit of revenue and a little bit of commercial traction and have really established that with the injection of investment from their fundraising round, they're ready to scale. We also have a program called our seed program that's able to do convertible grants up to $200,000. These are for companies that are a little bit earlier, maybe at the seed stage, raising a seed round, where they haven't quite gotten that much commercial traction yet, but with a little bit more runway, they probably will be able to. And we usually negotiate into these convertible grants the right to invest in the company's next round. We're also, by the way, raising a debt fund, which will be for slightly more mature companies. That will be a $100 to $150 million debt fund, and we expect to bring that online next year with a focus on investing at Series B and beyond. One more thing it's worth mentioning, we have a program called ADB Ventures Labs, which feeds into our investment funds, but also is a nice service for the agri-tech ecosystem across the region. ADB Ventures Labs is a program under which we just want to meet the best companies in agri-tech that have climate impact across the region, and then start to map those to industry challenges across the region. It's one of the reasons why we're so interested in the Grow Asia directory, because that's exactly what the Grow Asia directory does. But our hope is that by supporting programs like Grow Asia directory, as well as the Plug and Play food and agriculture program, the Plug and Play program that helps to regionalize Indonesian startups, and other similar programs like that, that we're able to facilitate more pilots of technology across the region, which does give us a pipeline of investment opportunities for ADB Ventures, but frankly, also brings attention to startups with other VCs as well, and opens up other investment opportunities for the startups. So ADB Ventures Labs is always in the back of our mind when we meet startups, that there are multiple ways we can support you, not only through investment, but also by referring you into these other programs. I'll stop there. Thanks very much for your time, and I'll hand it back to you, Wei Li.
Thanks, Jason, for setting the stage and also for sharing more on ADB Ventures' interests and your perspective. I'm sure the startups in the room would be of interest to them. Next, I'd like to introduce Alvin Evander, General Manager of Corporate Development at MDI Ventures. Alvin is a venture capitalist, a startup mentor, and entrepreneur experienced in digital transformation and product development. He currently focuses on mentoring early stage startups and helping them to raise follow-on funding. Over to you, Alvin.
Okay. Thank you, Wei Li, for the introduction. I think before I start my presentation, I'll say thank you as well to Wei Li from Grow Asia, and also to Padam, Adam, and JQ for inviting us to be the ecosystem partner in this event. I think I'm very happy to support you guys, and also to support agriculture startups in Indonesia. So let me quickly just share my screen. Okay. So yeah, let me just a quick presentation about MDI and what we have done in the agriculture space. So about MDI Ventures, so we are a corporate venture capital of Telkom Indonesia. Right now we have operations in Indonesia, Singapore, and also in US, in Silicon Valley. And we already been operating since 2016, and so far we already invested in over 50 startups across 12 countries. So yes, we invest globally, and across stages as well. I'll share with you on details in the next slides. Just a bit of information. Right now, our asset under management is around 830 million, and we already invested in over $200 million. And we also recorded 8 exit events so far. So just a bit of snapshot. We invest in 12 countries, 54 companies across 6 verticals. And one of our thesis is to have a synergy within our telecom group, the largest telco in Indonesia. We also do help other startup enterprises to create an ecosystem of early stage startups. Like we manage a few incubator program. We also do some consulting with other corporates, and we also bridge to global software investors globally. So I just share about our portfolios. Right now, we are focusing on 6 sectors, from healthcare, fintech, logistics, consumer, and agriculture right now, and also some multi-sector in the enterprise space. So yep. So as you can see from the slides, so just sorry, there's something wrong with the logo. We operate multiple funds and also some incubator program. So we are able to invest across stages, all the way from ideation stages. We have what we call Indigo incubator and accelerator program. And then for the next stage, we have Emerge, which is more not like a fund, it's more like an angel investor network program that we manage. And then for the seed fund, we have Arise, which we partner with Amsterdam Dutch-based VC venture capital. And also next on the growth stage side, we have Centauri, which is our partnership fund with Kookmin Bank from Korea. And then we have TMI as well, which is a specialized fund from Telkomsel that focuses on mobile network company. And also in the late stage, we have what we call MDI 500, which is our main fund, $500 million fund, which are focusing on agriculture, healthcare, fintech, and also logistics. So in NBF Ventures, the difference between us and other normal venture capitalists, actually we are the bridge. We can help startups to bridge with the settlement enterprises, including a telecom group. So this is just some of the examples that we've done these past few years, the partnership between our portfolios and also with telecom group companies and also other settlement enterprises. And so far, we already generated what we call synergy value. It's like we create value to our startups more than 200 million of dollars in these past 5 years. So let me get more into this slide. So this slide is basically we're talking about accelerating Indonesian agriculture through startup investing. I'd like to address the problems and as well the opportunity in Indonesia. As you can see from the graph, Indonesia is actually the top 4 of agriculture production across the countries. So we're number 4, just getting behind China, India, and US. So it's actually a very, very big market. And then from the data that we gather, there are currently around 33 million of farmers in Indonesia, based on a report we took from McKinsey. And and also the market size is around 157 billion US dollar with 8.3% CAGR growth. And also the land area that used for agriculture and forestry is also very big, 51 million hectare. And then on the downside, you can see the issues that we were trying to tackle. It means this is an opportunity for startups to tackle these problems from upstream side, like pre-cultivation, cultivation. It's definitely about the data that we collect. There's a problem on that side. Post-harvest and also in midstream. Sometimes it's challenging as well in Indonesia because probably this is more into Indonesian market. Like we are a very big country. We have thousands of islands. That's why distribution and also logistics is gonna be a challenge as well in Indonesia. And also last, the processing and packaging. And from the data that we collected from these issues, the main problem is also the food loss per year. Estimation is around 70 million tons of food that go to waste. And also this is a very interesting problem in Indonesia as well. Like we still do a lot of importing, like our government still do a lot of importing of agriculture product. There are around 19 billion yearly, and keep the numbers, I'll say the same for last year. So that's why I think there's a very big opportunity for agriculture startups and companies in Indonesia to grow even further. So just sharing about some of our case studies in MDI. Like so far, we already invested in these 3 startups. One is TaniHub, who's gonna speak after this from Grace from Tani Fund. So TaniHub is actually an agriculture marketplace that connect farmers to end customers, to whether it's B2B or B2C, and also they also provide financing to smallholder farmers through their Tani Fund. So just some example of the potential synergy that we have done. Like I agreed on Whaley's point about it's important to develop partnership between the startups and also agribusiness. So this is what we've been doing for the past 1 year. So to be honest, we are a bit late investing in agriculture. Also on point on Jason telling about there's actually very few investors investing in agriculture. So we are just coming in last year. So far we already invested in 3 companies. So TaniHub. And then next is Aruna. So Aruna is also the leading fisheries platform in Indonesia, basically connecting fishermen to end customers, and they also help fishermen to actually export their product. And also the third one is Manus Bio, which is actually a US-based company, not Indonesian. So this company is a biotech company that they use proprietary microorganisms to basically convert sugars into stevia. So stevia is what we call low calorie to 0 calorie sugars, which is way more healthy than normal sugars. So basically, this company can convert normal sugars using their technology, proprietary technology, and fermentation process. They can change normal sugar to stevia sugar. And this is just an example of the potential synergy that we've been working on, focusing on with Indonesian state-owned agribusiness. So I think that's all a presentation from me. Thanks everyone. Looking forward on the panel discussion. Giving you back to you, Welly. Yeah.
Thanks, Alvin. Yeah, and thanks for setting the stage as well and sharing with us more about MDI Ventures. I'd just like to introduce Grace Astarinik. She's the VP of Tani Fund. Grace has 10 years of experience in banking and fintech and is a passionate advocate for financial inclusion, digital banking, financial technology, and e-commerce. Over to you, Grace.
Hi, thank you. Let me share my screen first. So earlier, Alvin already share many challenges in the sector agriculture, and then I want to point out another 6 facts that we have in this sector. The first one is all the majority of the farmers is above 45 years old, so most of them already above productivity age, and then almost 70% practice traditional farming. Maybe they learn from their from their uncle, from their fathers, and all from their family. And also the challenge is 87% of them don't use internet yet. So right now it is we have several initiative to make them better to adopt the technology. And also 74% they only receive primary education, and 54% less they have less than 0.3 hectares of land. So they are actually smallholder farmers, we call for them. And then 97% don't keep track of their finance. So those 6 challenges in sector agricultures. On top of them, there are also 3 additional challenges that we have right now. The first one is the financial literacy, how to make them, they have the asset, for example, they have the finance from Tani Fund, but the asset is not increasing. They have another income or side income instead of farming activity, but they don't know how to use the asset, or don't know how to make it more productive for their benefit. And also the second one is lack of investment and technology processing, or in technology to support their farming activities such as irrigation, waste management, creative for their farming. And also the third one is farming practice, which is they have limited understanding in innovative and farming practice. So it is causing and producing it is causing a slightly difficult to how and when you crop or harvest your commodity. And then from those challenges, we have 3 business lini in Tani Hub Group. So in Tani Hub Group, we are right now integrating from the upstream until the downstream, from the farmers until the end user, the B2B or B2C client. The first one, we are talking about Tani Fund. So right now I'm leading the Tani Fund part, which is the Tani Fund is a P2P lending platform to help farmers with capital. So we provide them the funding itself and also the assistance with our agronomists. So the farmers can earn loan and capital access for their farming activities. And then we also have Tani Supply and Tani Hub. For Tani Supply, they are answering the second challenge in the sector agriculture, which is for the supply chain and also for the logistics solution. So Tani Supply is our backbone for transporting produce from the land or from the after harvesting into the facility that we have in the Tani Hub Group. And then the Tani Hub will answer about the market. For example, it is about the sustainability of the supply and also the price that the farmers have challenged with, the stability price for their current harvesting. So in Tani Supply and Tani Hub, we want to answer how our farmers can earn market access with a competitive price. So for example, they will plant some commodities in this month, and then for the next three months after harvesting, they will have consistent about the price and also the quality that the Tani Hub or Tani Supply will collect the crop. And then not only we have Tani Fund, Tani Supply, and Tani Hub. In the last month, we launched Tani Foundations. So this is the non-profit arm that we aim to empower farmers with 3 pillars that I already mentioned before. The first one is to provide them with knowledge, with technology, and also to increase their welfare. So not only we are doing the 3 business, but also Tani Foundation to make agriculture for everyone, especially for the farmers and the family. So there are benefit for farmers and benefit for consumers that we already identified. The first one, if you want to talk about the farmers, the first one, they can constantly can access to the resource. The second one, they have like simple access to capital and the loan. And then for farmers also, they can have direct access to market for price leverage. And then if you want to talk about the consumers at the B2B or the B2C client, we will talk about the constant and quality supply, affordable and simple processing, and also logistic solution through Tani Supply. And if you want to talk more like deeper about Tani Fund, yeah, we are connecting between farmers or entrepreneurs and also our lenders. So right now we have both individual and institutional. So the banks that already partnership with us, and then we want to empower like more entrepreneurs and also the farmers, so they will like more prosper for their family and also for their community. And then we have 3 products in specifically in Tani Fund. So we have cultivation financing, we have AR financing, and also we have the merchant financing. The idea is our focus right now is in cultivation financing. So almost 60% of our portfolio is in cultivation because this is our core business. And the second one is AR financing is to accommodate the farmers group or entrepreneurs in the food and agriculture sector who needs funds for invoices. So for example, there are like a lot of like smallholder, they want to supply to small restaurant or hotel or another business sector that they usually have like 30 to 60 days for term of payment. And with our product, our farmers can get the money at the beginning of the invoice debt. And also we have merchant financing. This is the idea that that we want to tap to the of entrepreneurs who want to run the business in the food and beverage sector. So not only they got the fresh or the non-fresh supply from Tani Hub, they also can get the loan or financing product from Tani Fund, so they can carry out the business development for their business. And also, this is our platform. So this is the example how we showcase our commodity that ongoing of fundraising in our tanifund.com. So from the lender side and the borrower side, we provide like several benefits for the lender side. The like the most what is the like the most benefit that our lenders feel is about the social impact or the social mission that we carry on through our business for agriculture sector. And also for the borrowers, we have or we develop like specific credit scoring that tailored to our market. So in this case, farmers and the entrepreneurs, so they don't like need to provide collateral, or they need like another like documents that needed as they apply to the bank. And also, we try to create prosperity to smallholder and also contributing real social impact. So this is like the story of our borrowers. So we have the borrowers kind. The first one is from the cultivation financing. They are who working on the farm, who owns the store, fruit store. This is Bu Ratnalila. They have like large fruit store in Bandung and in Jakarta. And also we have Padani, who already like manage several commodities through Tani Fund. And this is not only providing loan, not only providing information and also access to technology. We also make sure that our sustainability growth is also impact to our partner. So we are right now, we have 100 or more data points to assess them. And so after we onboard them to our ecosystem, we can support them with proper farming tools, also agricultural literacy, and also financial literacy to equip their business. And this is also the testimony from our lenders. So as per I informate that we have lender from retail and also from institutional bank. So right now we have like almost 2,000 lenders right now, retail lenders, which is they are varied between like entrepreneurs to working like director or or like housewife. So currently we have like several like lenders mission or membership program that we provide to them to more to engage more with Tanifan. And also you can reach us on our platform www.tanifan.com, so you can have all the communities, you can have the prospectus and also the business projection about each commodity. So in this platform we can learn together. For example, it is very different how to run commodity special commodity special crop for example for corn, or maybe for strawberry or any like vegetables. Yeah. So we provide the calculation, the timeline. Also, we provide the profitability analysis of each product. And right now, currently, we are entering the last step for getting license from OJK, our regulator in Indonesia. And this is so far our impact. So together with Tani Supply and Tani Hub, we already have 46,000 farmers in our ecosystem, and almost and more than 3,000 farmers already got finance from us. And then we may say that the income from the business that we finance already increased more than 25%, and also the productivity or the harvest yields increased almost 50%, and most of them already have bank accounts. So we also push financial literacy and digital literacy for our farmers and the group community. And that's it for Tanifan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace, for telling us about how Tanifund is enabling financial inclusion. Now it just brings us to the panel discussion. I'd like to invite all our previous speakers back to the stage. Alvin will be moderating, but I'd like to pass the floor to Sumik Bose from Cargill first to introduce himself to the room as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Bailey. Thanks everyone who's attending this this virtual meeting, as well as thanks to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to be part of the panel. Before I introduce myself, just a thought in this, the pandemic times, especially with the ongoing situation in Indonesia, and I know a lot of people on this meeting are either from Indonesia or have roots and family in Indonesia. My solidarity and condolences for what's going on. I'm of Indian origin, and India has gone through something similar a couple of months ago, and it was a very difficult time. So it's important that we all acknowledge it, as well as stay safe and take care of our family and loved ones. So just wanted to call that out. A little bit about myself. I work for Cargill. Cargill is one of the very large agriculture, food and ag companies in the world. We are privately held. At the core of what we do is that we bring food producers and food consumers together, right, across the entire food value chain. You can of course go to cargill.com and find out more about us. But key to what we are and what has made us successful, and we are over 150 years old, we are 155 years old, is the fact that we work alongside all of our stakeholders, farmers, producers, manufacturers, and make sure that we nurture and grow and safe, responsible, and sustainable way. So that's the motto, and that's how we operate, and that's how we've been able to be successful over the last 155 years. A bit about myself. I am the business relationship manager from a technology perspective for Cargill for agriculture and supply chain, which is one of our largest businesses for Southeast Asia, as well as for our metals business, right? So what does that mean is that we have businesses across Australia, across Southeast Asia, across Indonesia in tropical oils, across Philippines, Malaysia, and I am the one who works to drive the digital and technology strategy for these businesses and take it to execution, right? So, which means that a large part of what I do is also, as we realize the needs of our business in going to market quickly or solving problems for them to make them more efficient, we are always looking at the partner ecosystem and how do we work with them much more closely, right? And the opportunities and the requirements for this part of the world is quite different from, say, Northern America or Latin America or China or Japan, right? Or even Australia for that matter, because at the core of some of the solutions that we need to look for is things that are frugally engineered, right? Because as we all know that the the unit economics, the price point of adoption is pretty different for, say, Indonesia and other parts of Southeast Asia versus, say, more developed economies like, say, Australia or Japan or China, right? So that's just wanted to kind of put it out there that this is who I am, this is what I look after, right? And I'm looking forward to participating in this panel discussion, right? To also understand a bit more about how one of core values of Cargill, which is for our farmer customer, right? How do we make them successful, right? Is what is going to be discussed here, and I'm looking forward to being on that panel, and also encourage all of you. And I know that this is part of a demo day that we're also doing, to kind of bring in your solutions to solve our problems for Cargill, and we look forward to partnering with you. And with that, I will hand it over to Vele. Thank you.
Alvin, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Wei and Sumit, for your introduction. I think let's just start the panel discussion session. So today, as you know, we have three speakers in our panelists: Grace, Jason, and also Sumit. So I'll just get straight to the first questions. So since the theme of this event and the program is all about data collection to smallholder farmers, so I think my first question is if you might share what are the key factors or the main factors of the challenge of data collection in smallholder farmers in Indonesia and also in Southeast Asia. It's going to be interesting to see the view from the startups, agribusiness, and also from investors. I think let's start with Jason. What do you think the factors that challenging in the data collection?
Well, I'd highlight maybe two. One is, I think, something that Grace pointed out in her presentation, which is that the farmers, smallholder farmers, aren't particularly comfortable with technology. These are not people who necessarily own smartphones. They wouldn't be running out to buy or invest in IoT sensors. Just integrating technology into the farm, there's a human factor there that we need to overcome. So that's I think that's probably the biggest challenge. But the other is there are hubs now for aggregating data and for structuring data. Tani Hub actually is a big player in that space in Indonesia, but those need to grow faster. I think we need to enable those providers, equip those providers to work with more smallholder farmers and aggregate more data on behalf of those farmers.
Thanks, Jason. Agree with you. Totally agree with you. Like focus on 2 points. Definitely, the problem is with the smallholder farmers. They need more time to educate themselves about technology. So I think moving over to Grace, I think we understand you already pointed that in your presentation, but do you have anything to add, please, Grace?
Yep. Maybe the tips that I may share, regarding technology adoption for the small holder farmers, we need a community or partner who can supervision them once we teach them how to use the smartphone. So for example, we managed to have like one partners in Indonesia. They are selling fertilizer. So what I learned from them is they acknowledge that they're like only like 70%, around 20% that already have smartphone. What they are doing right now is they provide like field team. So they have like around 400 to 500 only to teach them how to use the smartphone, how to join Zoom, how to join like Facebook fan page and other channel. And then after that, they can use those platform to have like training, so they conduct training through those platform to engage more farmers using smartphone. So maybe that's the tips that I have right now. So they use like a community-based approach for the smallholder farmers.
Got it. I think thanks Grace for sharing. I think there's a great tips for startups who might attend today. So I think moving over to Somik, do you have other views from the corporate angle, please?
Yeah. I have a couple of points, and we'll just set some context there, right? So we have Cargill as a corporate. We have our own tropical palm plantations in Indonesia, and also we work with smallholder farmers who are growing palm to source from them, right? And I see 2 challenges, right, which is to kind of augment what Jason and Grace spoke at. One is fundamentally the connectivity issue, right? So outside of the main cities, right, even if you have given devices, if you have smartphones or even feature phones for your smallholders, the connectivity and the cost of connectivity is extremely high or non-existent, right? So which means that gathering data itself or getting users to use them is a challenge, right? That's one. The second is what I kind of briefly mentioned in my introduction about frugal engineering, and what I mean by that is, right, that the unit cost of things like say IoTs, farm equipment, drones, etc., right? Those for the established players and other marketplaces, the costs don't work out for Indonesia, right? So what do we do in terms of making it more accessible and small business cases, right? For example, we all think let's get in in a plantation, let's put in some IoT devices, right, so that it can measure or record data on certain things on a periodic basis, right? water management, so on and so forth, right? Or you could have a human being going in and doing that recording on a frequent basis, right? And the costs in Indonesia, the unit economics don't work out so well, right? So I keep on talking about frugal engineering, value engineering, which is very specific to this marketplace, and which, if it's successful, we can actually, to Jason's point earlier, right, that we're looking to partner with say startups that are really, that are big in Indonesia and looking at growth, not just in other parts of Asia, but also Africa, right? We see that from a Cargill perspective. These are models that can be taken to Africa and other emerging economies where unit economics and connectivity are problems. Thanks, Alvin.
Yeah, thanks to Mick for the presentation. So connectivity is on us, the telco company, the state-owned telco company in Indonesia. And the second one is the unit of economics is also interesting because the cost of people in Indonesia and also in Southeast Asia is relatively much lower than if you compare to US and other markets. So I think let's go to the public questions. So there's from anonymous attendee. So I think this question is for Grace from Tani Fund. So the question is, I'm an agribusiness student in Brawijaya University, and he or she had an internship in a state-owned bank institution. The question is, what are the difference between the kredit petani and kredit usaha rakyat KUR, and what are the advantages of Tani Fund to help farmers in lending funds on their business? Please, Grace. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Alvin. So we in Taiwan, we are very aware that our government has this kind of loan, which is the maximum limit is around $3,000 or equal to 50 million rupiah. So usually, if we interview or we discuss with the farmers, usually the amount that the government offer is quite small compared to the needs of our farmers. Usually because they mentioned that for each hectare they need around $5,000 for the crops, sorry, for the fertilizer, to buy to rent the land, and for also the daily workers they need to pay, right? So the limitation from the government is, the first one is the limit itself. The second one is the collateral that the banks also needed in the beginning of the loan processing. So they will assess whether, for example, farmers group A, do you have any like certificate of your land or your car or motorcycle or anything that will be a collateral. And also the third one is for the administration process that may be quite very like strict, and also they have like longer time compared to the P2P. And from what we understand, the competitive advantage that we can offer to our smallholder farmers is the limit itself. We will provide the loan until 2 billion rupiah regarding the OJK regulation. And also the second one, we don't need any collateral for the loan. So because we understand what are the profiling and also the behavior of our farmers, right? So it is not very useful for us to push them to have the collateral to propose a loan to through Tanifa. And also the third one that we will offer to the farmers is the speed, and also the process, also the credit scoring or the credit assessment that we have is very tailored to our farmers. So for example, what we assess for them is, for example, we will assess about the land itself, about when or where usually you sell the crops, and then like how much in quantity and quality, how good is your harvest. So that's will be make them like more confident, and also more easier for them to repay the loan, instead of they need to also pay in installment, because in bank you need to pay, like for example 1,000 per month for 6 months loan. In Tani Fund we provide the loan with business model that you repay through your crop. So that's maybe the advantage that we can offer to our farmers.
Okay, thank you. Great. I think hope it answers the questions. I think dealing with banks it's pretty painful. I think not just Indonesia, probably anywhere in the world. So really just checking on the timing. Can we do one last question or the last two questions probably?
Sure, let's do one last question.
Okay, one last question. So I think this is the questions for everyone is and it's very interesting questions. So the question is from anonymous. In most developed countries, agriculture is very typically large and very industrialized, thus allowing them to get the benefit of scale as well as consistency. The question is, would we see this happening or should happen as well in developing countries like Indonesia or other places in Southeast Asia, let's say? And do you guys believe smallholders concept will still thrive? I think we can start with Jason on this.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd call on me on this one. I mean, look, I think sort of the collectivization and achievement of scale in agriculture is historically, going back centuries, a phase of agricultural development and of economic development generally. And it may in over the long term even be desirable for all the reasons contained within the question. But in the short term, it's a very painful process. It means people losing their land, giving up their livelihoods. It creates economic development problems in countries where you have people migrating in mass to cities, which puts pressure on urban infrastructure. To one degree or another, this is happening all across Asia Pacific right now, and is fueling the rapid urbanization of Asia Pacific and all of the urban problems that come with it. So I think that from a development perspective, from the perspective of the Asian Development Bank, if I dare articulate that perspective, at the very least, we'd like to slow that down and ensure that smallholder farmers are able to make sufficient incomes in order to thrive in the short term, so that we can manage that process of growing an agricultural scale. I also think that there are technologies that are available today, seed stock, chemicals, fertilizers, IoT, all kinds of technologies that allow smallholders to achieve yields on their land that were unimaginable in previous generations, which does change the math and makes smallholder farming more sustainable well into the medium term, if not the long term.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason, for your answers. So I think moving on to Sumik, I think this is going to be interesting from you because you came from Cargill. I would say that one of the largest agribusiness player globally. So what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, and I would just kind of, I think Jason really summed it up well, that, right, urbanization, right, a democracy, or, the constituency of, farmers as a group, right, and also, as we see technology enabling small holders to also have, good yield and a good income, right? These are all going to come together, right? So the change management is really tough in a democracy like say Indonesia, and really getting there, right? And so all of that stays. So my perspective from a Cargill behalf is that we will do what is the kind of the law of the land, right? And in this case for Indonesia, right, we see that the current construct is going to continue. How do we make it better for the smallholders, right? How do we partner them, give them the tools, the expertise to get more from their land and get a better life, right? So that's what will be my perspective on this. That some amount of collectivism is going to happen, but I don't know the pace for it for Indonesia. Until that time, there is opportunity to harness technology to actually make lives better for the small holding farmers. Thanks, Alvin.
Got it, Somi. Thanks for your answers. I think moving on to Grace. Any thoughts on the from the startup side that's supporting smallholder farmers?
Yep. Yeah, I'm totally agree with Jason and Somik about your previous answer, but maybe I want to point out again with Somik answer in the beginning that you present about the unit scale of economy of our smallholder farmers. So that's usually our homework right now by Indonesia, especially for Tanifan smallholder farmers, because they only maintain like less than half of a hectare each day, like how to make sure them compete with the bigger market outside there. So what we are trying to do right now, equip them with technology, with information, with access to market and finance them the process in agriculture. So one time maybe we will arrive in that moment. So I think that's Alvin from my side.
Okay, thank you, Grace. I think unfortunately time has passed a bit of from 5 p.m. I think thank you everyone. Thanks Jason, Somik, and Grace for sharing a very good insights for the participants here. I think I'm getting back to you, Whaley.
Thanks, Alvin. I just wanted to thank MDI Ventures, our lead sponsor, ADB Ventures, Cargill, Fire and Jollibee Group Foundation for sponsoring the GrowAsia Directory Showcase. Just to remind everyone that the open call for agri-tech startups to apply will be open until the end of the day, 21st July, which is next Wednesday. And you can go to showcase.growasia.org to find out about the challenge statements as well as find the application portal. If you have any questions at all, please go ahead and email me, wade-lee@growasia.org. And with that, I'd like to bring the webinar to a close. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on your Friday afternoon. And thanks so much to our speakers for all the insights that you've shared. And have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Ellie.
good weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Alvin.
Bye.
Bye-bye.